Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I feel like John Oliver. Welcome. Seriously, welcome. If you're new to the show, thanks for tuning in. Here's what we talk about. Here's what we do on this show. We break down the habits, the strategies, the techniques, the tactics of top producers. Now, today's episode, interesting guy. Today's guest. This is a guy that is super competitive. We're going to talk about how being competitive in business and in life is a good thing. Now, in terms of his competitiveness, this guy qualified for the Olympics. He was a runner. And what we cover here is how he went from being an Olympic runner to then getting into real estate. Now, some of the things we cover is how to find a mentor. Now, for this guy, he had a childhood guy that he idolized. He went out, found him as a kid, and got him to teach him how to run. So we cover how to find a mentor. We talk about the new way of selling real estate. And I got to ask you a question. Something that comes up, especially this is very much, maybe it's for everybody, but I hear it more in the millennials. And that is, people have a hard time with the idea of being a salesperson, right? It feels dirty to them. They don't like it. And so we cover that. We cover, this guy hated that. And we cover how he got over that. We cover how to cultivate and develop an abundance mindset, something that we all need, and how gratitude and working into your life will help your business. Now, before we get to the episode, a couple things here. I got to plug Real Estate Radio Experts. Man, we're growing like crazy. Every market out there in the nation is hot. And you know what? As I often say, right? Exposure is today's social capital. It's today's social currency. And if you are not getting maximum exposure, you're losing to that guy who is. So if you want to level up and do radio, go to Real Estate Radio Experts, or just go to our site. I'm going to tell you to go to our site in a second. Okay, so go check that out. Number one. Number two, exposure, if you don't think radio is the right thing for you, you know what? You should think about doing a podcast. On this podcast, I've gotten 10 million downloads. I've started multiple businesses from this audience, you guys. And I'll tell you, if you can have people follow you, it's pretty easy to monetize that. So go to Viralcast with a K. Check that out. Now, go to here's what I want you to do either way. Go to the site. We have a new page that we developed. It's called Grow Your Business. And finally, after 3 years, I don't know why I've been so late to the party on this, but we have all the stuff that we do, all the stuff that we offer, and we're going to continue to build that stuff out, right? We're going to all the tools that we use, all the tools that we like and we know that works, we're going to have on that page. So we want to build one page, a comprehensive page where you go, oh, what CRM? Boom, here. Hey, how do I target FSBOs and expireds? Go here. Oh, how do I get a VA? Whatever. It's all going to be there. So go to the site. The page is Grow Your Business. Hit that and you can find it or navigate there right from the homepage. And while you're there, download my book. Okay, join the conversation on Twitter. Hashtag for the show is Unpack That Idea. My Twitter handle is @SuperAgentsLive. And I'll tell you, so, I don't know, I have 8,000 or so followers on Twitter. And the new platform, you hear guys like Gary Vee talking about, or a lot of people are doubling down. They're moving away from Twitter, and they're going on Snapchat. And I was kind of early, I would say, to build a profile there, and I immediately got a few followers here and there. But I'm not doing anything with it. I think I might be making a mistake. I think 2 years from now, I might be looking back and going, I should have got on, I should have spent some time there. So for you guys, you may or may not be aware that Snapchat is the new big platform that you should all be on. If you weren't aware of that, go build a profile. If you are aware, well, you know what? You just got a little bit of social proof from me. All right, that's it. Hey, let's get to it. I get a lot of emails, and a lot of people, reach out and they'll say, hey, can I come on the show? And most of the time they have a product or a service, and 95% of the time I say no. Now today's guest reached out to me, and I said, hey, why do you want to be on the show? And the email that he gave me back, gave me some insight into what he's doing. He does have a unique model, a different view. Here's his model. The guy has a brokerage. Most people, when you have a brokerage doing 350 deals, $120 million in volume, that's what you do. Like that, you grow that. Now, he is not only has the brokerage, he has a team, and he also does deals himself. So there's a lot of numbers here. So brokerage, 350 deals. For him personally, this guy went out and did 60 deals on his own, 22 million, made 600K GCI there. As a team, his team, they did another couple of deals, 12 deals. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about how he thinks about scaling a business, running a brokerage, and running a team. I'm thrilled to welcome Ben Andrews. Hey, Ben, thanks for taking the time out, man.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
So listen, you do have a unique model. I want to get to it. Before we do, I'm always interested in you personally. I know that you're an athlete. You qualified for the Olympics. You're a runner guy. But take a minute. Tell us a little bit about who Ben Andrews is.
Well, first of all, I qualified for the Olympic trials. Big difference.
Okay.
So Olympic trials. I'm a local kid, Portland, Oregon, born and raised. Got into athletics at a young age, grew up in a very modest Norman Rockwell painting, just a lot of love for my parents, my brother Matthew. Decided I would never, ever, ever get into real estate. My mom got her real estate license so that we could afford the opportunity to go on vacation as a family. She got fired because she talked her first client out of buying a house. So her broker said, hey, you know what? You're better at cleaning people's houses and their toilets versus selling them. So she quit. Years later, about 5 years later, got back into it. Follows Brian Buffini, got into that, and sold a lot of real estate and turned the fortunes of our family to, forever, with her and my dad working as a team. My brother got his license. Just a family business, and then they ended up having their own brokerage years later.
Well, so I mean, look, man. Your mom turned it around. She was good at it. She was a giving person. She obviously approached the business as a consultant, right?
Yep.
Convincing the first. But you live. She gave you, or she helped provide kind of the foundation of this Norman Rockwell life you lived. Why did you swear off real estate?
I didn't want to be salesy, and that's what I had always thought of real estate as being, just very, very salesy. And after years of seeing the way my mom and dad did it, the way my brother did it, I thought, you know what? They're not salesy, and maybe this can work. And so I got into it after my running career ended.
Well, and help me understand. I mean, that's interesting that you say that, Ben, because, how old are you?
I'll be 42 in a couple months.
Okay, so you're not you're out of that millennial range, but what was it? What was it about you that you didn't want to be salesy? Because I know this is something that as I coach people, that comes up a lot, and I don't get it. But so maybe help shed some light on this notion of, because it is a stumbling block for people. What about it felt dirty to you?
The fact that people think you're trying to get one over on them for a commission. That's it. That's the baseline. And when I was able to see my parents and my brother do it in a way that enriched people's lives, helped them, people will call, say, hey, you know what? We had our first Christmas tree in our new house. Thank you so much.
Right.
But that's a different way of looking at real estate. And I thought, I can get down with that.
Right.
And so it just changed my framework of what real estate can be and what it can offer people.
And okay, that's awesome. And I think one of the things, Ben, and I'd love to get your take on this. One of the things to get over that notion of, I'm trying to get one over on you, and truly being being able to help someone where you put their best interests first above yours, that takes a certain mindset. That takes an abundance mindset. Whereas, a lot of people are operating out of scarcity. How do you think you developed, number one, would you agree with that? And number two, how do you think you developed that?
I absolutely agree with it. And I developed it in the home I grew up in. There was a lot of love. There was a lot of gratitude and also a lot of grace. Both, hey, you're doing this wrong. This is the way it needs to be done. And grace saying, hey, you know what? Give yourself a break. Not everything has to be perfect, and you tried your best. And so I had a phenomenal home life, and that just shaped my whole idea of what help can be for someone else.
So you qualified for the Olympic trials. You have a brother. If I was a betting man, which I am, I would bet that you're a competitive guy.
Very.
Okay, super competitive. I'm sure your brother is too. How? And this is for me because I grew up in a similar kind of family. Although our competitiveness, how did you guys not let that competition, family competition, I'm better than you, I can beat you, I'm faster than you. I don't know if I'm not getting this out very well.
My parents, whenever we competed, and we were 3.5 years apart, we still are 3.5 years apart. Whenever we competed, my mom and dad always made sure the other one was there rooting the other one on.
Okay.
And so it was very respectful and more admiration than anything. And for the record, I still have never beat my brother over 200 meters. The guy just has incredible wheels. He just didn't like track.
Got it. Okay. All right. That's good. I think that's important because I think that sometimes, for me even, I want to win. And sometimes dude, I can play dirty. Right, because if I want to win, that's it. And sometimes, winning at all costs is on the table for some of us.
Yep.
Okay. So you realize there was a new way to sell real estate. You get into real estate. When was that? Was that right after your running career?
Well, I was running for Nike. Was coached by Alberto Salgado. It was my childhood idol, and I would give my mom leads, and these leads were often, in the downtown Portland area. So she would, hey, here's a $50 gift card, go out to dinner, thank you, after it closed. This is before I had my license. And there were a couple that were about to close in a particular week, and I said, hey, Mom, why didn't those close? She said, the home inspection was bad. And I said, well, how about these other deals? And she said, well, those are condos. If you have a big issue on those, the management company takes care of it. And so I thought, my goodness, if I could get a deal down there, I'm guaranteed to get a check. And so I bought, my wife and I at the time, we bought pearldistrict.com. Again, neither of us were in real estate, but we were engaged to get married, and we thought, well, this could be a great avenue. And so we bought pearldistrict.com, developed it into, a neighborhood portal that was the first website in Portland where you could search by building. And we built our business there.
Wow.
And we still have it. We still manage it. But during the downturn of 2008 through 10, that market dried up. It was a lot of investor-driven real estate. Sure. And so we backed up and said, this is not the right way. We're very relational people, and became purposeful in what we did. Okay. My wife was very relational, and I was not. I was the transaction guy. And so we were pregnant at the time, had our son. A lot of our clients were calling my wife to go show property and not calling me. So I really had to reinvent myself and what my core values were, and how that would, help my clients and my friends and family and me as a person. It would fulfill me.
Okay, and 1210, just real quick. Hey, do you have your audio's not great. Do you have a landline or a Skype account we can call you at?
I don't.
Okay, that's fine. We'll just keep rolling with it. It's radio. It's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. So listen, I want to talk. How in the world you're childhood idol you got coached by. How did that come about?
That is a wild story. So I ran for a year for ASICS, didn't do awesome, but did pretty good, and just thought, you know what, this dream's over. Got a job at a bank, and a coworker of mine said, hey, my wife's going to train for the Portland Marathon. Can you coach her? And I said, absolutely. So I coached her. She just blew her PR out of the water, her personal record. She qualified for the Boston Marathon. And then she had a couple of friends say, hey, will you coach me for this relay race they were all going to do together? So lo and behold, 13, 14 women come to my lunch break and want to be coached. And I said, hey, wait a minute, we need to talk about some compensation here. And they got upset. The husband of this woman comes over to me and says, hey, you know what, I told him you'd coach him. So we worked out a trade. I coached them for free. He created a website for me. It was called runfaster.org. And I took on clients. You know, over the 5 years I had the website, we coached 2,500 athletes in 19 different countries, all online.
Wow.
My first client, after a couple of months of him paying me to be coached, he said, why are you doing this? And this is all over email. And I said, you know what, I'm trying to get a big enough database here of clients where I can work part-time and train as full-time as I can and pursue my dream of making the Olympic team. And he said, well, why don't I help you out? And he sent me $1,000. Next month, sent me $1,000. And I said, no, I'm not okay with this. The next month, I get a registered letter in the mail that says, I've been Andrews, agree to accept. And it was, I should back up. He asked me to send him a copy of my pay stub, which I did. So this registered letter comes in the mail. I've been Andrews, agree to accept. And it was to the penny what I made a month. By accepting this money, I will train as hard and as smart as I can for the 2004 Olympic trials, and I will find a creative way to pay this forward to someone else in the future. And so with that, I quit my job and pursued athletics. The day after I quit my job, I'm out at the Nike employee store, and I run into Alberto, and he says, hey, Ben, we're doing this training new training group. I'd love to have you on it if you'd be open to it. And of course, I was just smitten by him, and that's how it came to be.
How this is one of these kinds of things, Ben, that you put an idea out there in the universe and gets answered. Who was this guy? Who was this benefactor that would send you $1,000 every month?
Well, it was more than that. He was a complete stranger. In fact, I met him 4 years later. I finally talked to him on the phone. So I signed this contract. I send it back to him, and I'm a broke guy working at a bank, right?
Yeah.
A week later, he calls me and says, Ben, this is so-and-so, and he's got this great accent from Oklahoma. We have a contractual agreement. You're supposed to be out training. What are you doing behind the desk? I said, you know what? I don't have any money. I've got to save up some money so I can do this. So he sent me $5,000, and I quit the next day. It was heaven sent. I'm a man of faith, and I truly believe that someone was looking out for me. It was fascinating, this relationship that he and I grew into, where he later, once we started training and I was training in earnest, I wasn't coaching him anymore. He just really became a business mentor to me. And he would talk to me about contracts and talk to me about negotiations and how to serve someone but still get what you want, but get what they want. The Zig Ziglar, if you help enough people get what they want. So it was just a really amazing relationship that he and I formed. And I ended up meeting him 4 years later, and it was hugs and, hey, you didn't get to make the Olympic team, but gosh, you got to pursue your dreams. How cool is that? And that was it.
Amazing. So okay. Thanks for sharing that story, by the way. That's a fantastic story. So now you just built, going back, you and your wife, I think you just had your kid. You have pearldistrict.com, this portal. and you're the transaction guy. She's the face of it. And something comes about that you were just sharing that you had to kind of reinvent yourself, reinvent your core values. What was that?
It was me having a lot of take it on the chin conversations from clients. I would call clients that I knew I had a difficult transaction with and said, hey, what would you have liked your experience to be, and how could I enhance that? And a lot of it was, gosh, I really wish you would have treated us more like Heidi, or Heidi did this, Heidi does that. And so I really had to just look in the mirror and say, man, she's got it dialed in. That's why you married her. What if you could treat your clients like her? And that's what it was, just shedding my old skin and really looking at my core value of who I am and saying, okay, this is who you are. You do want to help people. You do want to serve people. Once the deal is done, you should call them a month later and ask how everything's going. I'd call them 6 months later. Call them every month and just check in. And so that became my new standard of business.
And then I'm sure all of a sudden, like, referrals go up and enjoyment increases, and you're like, oh, man, like, why didn't I do this before? Well, is that accurate? It's got to be accurate.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, we went from, behind on our mortgage to flourishing in life.
There you go.
It's been magical.
So,
and being able to bless other people, that's been the biggest surprise of, taking this extra money and being able to pour into other people's lives who need it, or just to surprise them.
Okay. And I could dig into that a whole bunch, and I might set that aside for right now. But so let's talk about your model, right? So you have this brokerage, 350 deals. You're still selling. You have this team. It's unique. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I've got a great assistant, great office manager. So we have what's called an agent success program. And really what that is I have dumbed down what I do and provided it to the brokerage at an additional commission split. So, they get all their transaction work done. They have all of their emails that go out throughout a transaction. They have all of their closing gifts covered. They have everything done for them. All of the touch point, client parties, videos that are made throughout the year. And it's just a way to expand. If I have a video, I can put Billy and Susie on their name and it's done. And just everything I do, I try to make it scalable. I met with Brian Buffini once, and he said, I never do anything for one cause. I always have a secondary cause for what I'm doing. And that just turned a light bulb on to me of saying, man, that's kind of like running. You do hills so that you can work on your speed work. It's two things. So everything we do, we try to duplicate it so that it can be used by somebody else.
Everything you do, you try to duplicate it. So okay. I'm trying to get my head around this because it's more than a system. Give me an example.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. So let's say we have a client party we're going to do. We'll have an explainer video, and then what we do is we just take each agent's audio and dub it in over the video. And so, it's not an agent being awkward in front of a camera. It's just them speaking into their phone, emailing us the audio, and then we dub it over the video. So they can look like, my gosh, they're a video king, they're a video queen, but it's really just their voice, and they don't have to feel like it's very awkward.
Interesting.
We do videos about, the power of working by referral, why we work by referral. Hey, we talked to, our last 5 clients, and these are the words they described working with us. Well, the way we work as a group and our culture, everyone's going to have pretty much the same response. And so we can leverage that and put other people's voice on it so that they can go to their database and share the same message.
Okay. All right. So you're kind of templatizing a business. So, and just,
exactly.
and so for just so I'm clear, I'm having an explainer video done right now, and when I think of an explainer video, right, it's animated, right? There's music behind it. There's a voice on top of it. Is that the same kind of video? A real explainer, animated, cartoonish type video?
Same exact thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the great thing is the way we do it. It's not going to be dated. If you gain weight, you lose weight, you get a different haircut.
Yeah.
These are all, as soon as a new person comes into the database, now they're on the drip. They're going to get this one at this date, this one, 35 days later. And so it can be scaled out. And so the broker they can focus on what they do best, and that's being relational with people, or what they should be doing, I should say.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is an interesting model of templatizing. So when it comes, again, I don't want to lead you too much or take you down a path that is not organic for you. But what are some of the other things like that you templatize? You have it in the file cabinet, and when I want to do X, I just pull it out and add something to it.
Sure. So our marketing packets are all templates. So. Okay. Again, Billy or Susie can come in with my marketing packet and just put their face on, their name over the quote, so that it's their presentation. A new person comes into the database, print out this letter, send it with this flyer, and it's off. So everything at every step of the process is done. When a buyer goes pending, we have a series of emails that go out to the agents to say, okay, you need to write a personal note to this person, whether it's the buyer's lender, the co-op agent, your seller, the person that gave you the referral, so that every point of a transaction, there's 4 to 5 different touches, which takes that transaction from being simply a transaction to someone saying, okay, now you've got an army of people that are supporting you. I had a deal, 8 months ago, where we had 9 offers. I was representing the seller. I sent the lender a personal note. I sent her a video, just a text video. I took it with my iPhone, texted to her, said, hey, I'm really looking forward to working with you on this. It looks like you got a great buyer, and I'm really excited to work with you. She gave me, by the end of the transaction, I touched 4 times. There was a personal note, video. Once we were past the home inspection, sent another one, sent another note. After the appraisal, same thing. So I touched 4 times. I've had 9 referrals from her in the last 8 months.
Right, from 4 times, yeah. No,
yeah.
So that's amazing. I mean, that's amazing, and I love the idea of templatizing, kind of business in a box. I think for most lock and stock agents, lock, stock, and barrel agents, right? The typical, they need a done for you kind of program, because they're not going to execute on their own, right? That even if it's something as simple as that, an open house flyer or something weird.
Right.
So I love that. I think the notion of getting personal and touching that, just that 4 touches, touching that lender 4 times. How I have to think sometimes your time management for you would get out of control because there's in one transaction there's so many people that you should be touching, right? Your lender, there's a lot of people involved in a single deal. Sure. How do you manage your time?
Well, I go down to the coast. I live in Oregon, so the beach is about an hour away, and I will write out about 400 notes, so they're done. And then at the different parts of the transaction, my assistant will just mail it. So the note is not truly addressed to anybody. It's just done. That's a lot of front end on my part, but now it's done. And I'm back to running. My coach used to say, hey, the hay's in the barn, the hay's in the barn. Meaning you trust your training. You can't get fit too quick, right? So if you haven't done the work in the fall, come spring when it's time to race, you're going to be exposed in front of 10,000 people. Same thing in the real estate business. If I don't load up in the front, you got 10, 12, 13 deals that are pending, you're not going to have time to do these notes or do these calls or these touches. You have to plan all of that out ahead of time.
Got it. So I see. And then and then moving forward, everything is cut, copy, paste, send.
Yes, exactly.
And go ahead, Brian, Ben.
I was going to say, we're very relational. One of the things we do is, we'll reach out to someone in the summertime. Portland's a very foodie culture. Restaurants everywhere. It's one of the top restaurant places in the nation. We'll reach out to our database and just say, hey, we've got some buyers out looking. What's your local restaurant that you would refer someone to?
Yeah.
And what that does is, if we have them categorize A, B, C, you might see a C that, oh, you got to go to Piazza Italia. It's the best Italian dish you can have. Well, they're actually an A. They're just not turned on to you. And so it's a good way of us reaching out, being relational, and really finding someone's core without being too pushy.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, Ben, everybody wants to help, and I think when you reach out to to me and say, hey, Toby, do you know any good restaurants or what whatever, like what's a good kid friendly activity? That makes me feel good, right? You're kind of making me seem like I'm the go-to guy. So
absolutely,
lots of benefits to that.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. So, tell me why, Ben, you have this, again, you have this brokerage, you have this team, but you're the star performer, right? You're the star guy. Why are you still doing those 60 deals? I mean, I know you made $600K off that. And let me ask you this, and I'm just rambling on here now with questions, but what was your GCI from the brokerage, from the brokerage itself, and then your team?
Right around 100.
Okay.
A little less than that. I mean, we've got it's a little less than that.
Okay. All right. So that kind of answers my question. Well, so
that's why I'm still selling real estate.
Right. I got it. Are you still doing the faster runner thing at all?
I'm not. Run faster. No. We ended up creating a foundation where part of my contract was I had to pay it back to someone else.
Yeah.
And so I created a foundation. I went to 6 of the local schools here in Portland, a couple private schools, but where the rich people lived, and said, hey, we're going to have this running camp. It's $500 for the week. We're going to have these speakers, these runners there. And it got filled up really quick with 100 kids. And so then we went to the poorer schools, less fortunate, and said, hey, we're going to have this, camp. I don't care if you run or not. Who needs some love? And so we had 200 of those kids come. And they were free because the rich kids paid for them.
Yeah.
Or the rich kids' parents, rather.
Right.
That was so awesome to see some of these parents who might be a little stiff come up and see them, their kids had created friendships with these kids they would never, ever interact with. It was an awesome thing. So we did that camp for 3 years, and then that was it.
Wow. Because it just seems like, with now, the advent of everybody's doing online courses, it seems like you could have, you helped 2,500 runners in that. It seems like you could have built like that. It seems like you could have taken that online and automated that in some form or fashion.
Yeah, I think at the core I'm pretty relational and wanted to have a deeper impact.
Okay.
I'll get into coaching again someday for sure.
So you have this unique model in terms of how you, business in a box is all cut, copy, paste, send. For you and your business, I mean, how do you think about marketing? I know you're high touch. How do you think about marketing and growing a business in 2016?
With the advent of Zillow and all of those online lead generations, we've just become more purposeful and more intentional on how we interact with our friends and family, our database. And just spending more time trying to impact their lives in a bigger way. For our company dinner, we had John O'Leary, who just published a book on fire. He's a phenomenal human being. We had him come and speak to our database, our brokerage, and that was a magical night. So rather than taking the money and just stockpiling at home, we're truly trying to pour into our people and our friends and family and impact their lives in a deeper way.
In what way? Because I was going to ask that earlier, because you said, I'm taking this extra money, and I'm fundamentally you said something like, we're giving it away, we're deploying it, and I was thinking, well, sometimes money doesn't solve people's issues. I mean, how you're looking to build this.
It can give people, it can give people hope. I'll give an example. About 2 years ago now, one of my core values I have in my wallet that's laminated is make someone smile every day. Get a smile from a stranger every day. So I was walking in this strip mall where my office is, going to get some breakfast in the morning at Great Harvest. And there was a kid, African-American kid, walking by, cornrows, sagging pants, just, kind of thugged out. And I said, "How are you doing this morning?" He goes, "I." And I said, "You need to look at people in the eye when they talk to you." And he turned around and didn't look at me, but looked at me, and he said, "Man, what's your deal?" And I said, "I don't have a deal. I'm just saying you need to look at people when they're talking to you." And he said, "Why should I?" And I said, "Well, I own my own company, and I wouldn't hire you just because of that." And he said, I've got a job interview today." And I said, "Is that what you're wearing?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "You're not going to get the job." And he shrunk literally 2 to 3 inches and just said, "Man," and with no attitude, "Man, this is the best stuff I've got." And I said, "Well, you know what? Let's go to Target." So we went to Target. He had a job interview at Verizon. We got the black pants, the white shirt, a red pen to go in there. And we got him hooked up for his job interview. And he said, we went to the ATM. I pulled out some money. I said, "This is your money. It's $104. You can buy some new clothes, have a great shot at an interview today, or you can just take the money. It's totally up to you. But I'm not going through the line with you." He started crying. I'm going to start crying now to be telling the story. And he said, "How can I ever repay you?" And I said, "I just want you to text me after your interview and tell me how you felt." So he texted me after the interview, and he said, "I felt like somebody today." That was $104. And he ends up getting the job. He sent me a text a couple weeks later of him fanning a bunch of $5 bills in the bank, got his first paycheck. And he's on his way. He's a great kid. He's touch base every couple months, and I try to do that every week for somebody, just some complete stranger, because somebody did it for me. And my dad used to go make cans every day, which he didn't want to do, just to make the life for our family better. I'm truly experiencing the success I am today because of my dad going to work every day at a job he didn't necessarily like, but it provided insurance, it provided my mom being able to stay home and clean houses when we were at school, and that's my MO.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a great story. But I think one of the things with that kid, that kid came at that interaction. That could have went a bunch of different ways, right?
Yeah, it could. But remember, I'm fast, so if it gets too bad, I can
run. But what I mean is, that kid, was humble. He was coachable, and he was open enough to say, "Hey, man, this is the best that I have." I mean, that for a lot of people that would be probably hard to say, right? Because there's pride there. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm dressed like this because this is how I want to. This is how you know what I mean. Like, it took something special in that kid for him to be that open, that vulnerable in that moment.
I agree, but I think we're all vulnerable, and I think with Facebook and the prevalence of everyone taking 9 selfies before they post the actual picture, there's this perception of perfection. And I think if we can meet people where they are in a real moment, we could make a big difference in this world. I don't want to go Jesus on you, but my pastor gave a quote the other day from Andy Stanley, who's got a great podcast of his own. He said, "What if people mocked us for our beliefs, but envied us for how we treat one another?" And that's kind of how I try to run my day.
Right. Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. And I had something. I had a good follow on, and I got really into that story. So hopefully it'll come back to me.
All right.
So you try to come at a life like this. You step up to life in this way every day. You were fortunate enough to have a background where, again, you had you could develop an abundance mentality because, there was a lot of love at home, right? So as long as there's love, you're okay. For people out there who don't have this background, Ben, how can we develop this in ourselves if we're struggling with some of this stuff? How do we show up to life like you?
I think one of the biggest things is just realizing that you can make a big impact on someone. That's the core. Just saying hello to someone is huge. A lot of people don't get that. They really don't. And I think putting yourself out there in a situation and things where you wouldn't otherwise be. I was very enamored by Steve Prefontaine, who's a very famous runner. I had the privilege of sleeping on his bedroom floor once while I was in college. He went to, this is kind of, I love this story. So when he died when he was 24 years old, a car accident. The Oregon State Penitentiary reached out to his family because they had a gift for him, and the family was kind of sideways, like, whoa, why are they reaching out to us? This is weird.
Right.
Well, he would go to Salem, which is about an hour and a half away from Eugene, where he lived, and he would run with the inmates every week and just talk to them about running, started doing clinics with them, and just said, had I not found running, I would have been in here with you guys. And so he met them where they were. Later, I had a coach just out of college, a guy named Dick Brown, and he took me in. My coach Dillinger, he said, you got to go in and see those guys. One of my best friends in the world is a guy that I met inside. He did 15 years, and I met him. I met him where he was, and I started coaching him through letters and through collect phone calls. But I met him where he was. I was just, I think I was vulnerable myself. Going into this prison and running with inmates, it was a daunting thing. But meeting them where they are and seeing how they are, it opens you up into a whole new realm of possibility.
Right. And I think Ben, and give me your thoughts on this, but I think, people are hearing you relay these stories, and people are like, oh, that's great, that's awesome. But man, I'm heads down, right? I'm trying to pay for my, I have kids and I have a mortgage and I have a car payment and all that stuff. And, while it sounds great to meet people, it can be inspiring, but I think a lot of people can make excuses. And I think, one of the simple, I think, tweaks that people can do is, this is something I try to do with my kids, is there's so many things in the day that I tell my kids not to do. Don't do that, right? And but I try to catch them doing something right every day. And if I can catch them doing something right once a day, and acknowledge them for that, I mean, it's amazing the kind of change that can happen, like, in the moment, right there.
I completely agree with you. Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. Just complimenting someone for nothing, putting the phone down and actually talking to someone. Can't tell you how many meetings I've had with other brokers that they're checking their phone the entire time. I said, do you do this with your clients? Well, I'm working. Well, actually, no, you and I are having coffee right now. So let's relax a little bit. It's very frustrating. Well, my family was at Disneyland recently, and this very, very heavy woman was working at the bread bowl place. And I just said, you have a great smile. And she started crying. And she said, thank you for saying that. I haven't heard that in 10 years. And she did. She had a great smile. Just acknowledging other human beings, I think, is a very easy thing to do. And I think, to your point, I think that so many of us are so busy and so, you got every alert from ESPN to Facebook to everything on your phone that's popping off. So you can't even have a conversation with your kids, your wife, your spouse, whatever. It's sad. And I think if you turn that stuff off, my phone at 5:30, all of my favorites can come through. That's it. So I don't get sign calls. I don't get referral calls at 5:30. I get them. I just don't hear them because I'm home. Now, am I perfect on that? Absolutely not.
No.
But
No. But how do you manage that? How do you manage that, Ben? Is this a matter of with your teammates, with your teammates, with your clients, do you just set that expectation or set that boundary right up front? Hey, let me tell you, look, I'm gonna sell your house for you. I'm gonna do the best job anybody can do, but just let me tell you, unless the house is on fire after 5:30, don't expect me to pick up the phone. I mean, do you?
I'm gonna use that dialogue. I like that. Thank you. Yeah, we do set the table and just say, here's what you can expect from us. Not the delivery of here's how we're going to do it, but here's what you can expect from us. We're gonna do everything we can to sell your home. We're gonna follow up. We're gonna give you feedback. We're gonna do this. We're gonna meet these people there. But we also have a family, and so we need you to respect that time. Is that okay for you? And I've had one person say, no, I want you 24/7. I said, well, great. Let me give you a couple other names, and they'll be happy to sell your house.
Yeah.
And, do people step out of the boundary? Absolutely. And just a little nudge. Hey, you remember when we first met?
Right.
I'm getting ready to sit down with my family right now. So that's how we do it. Just basic human interaction, and it still works.
And again,
there's no app that can replace that stuff.
Yeah, and again, man, this points back to that abundance mindset. Too many people are scared of losing that client, and they're like, "Oh, no worries, you got me 24/7, whatever you need." And I can tell you that it's like in my business with what I do, it takes an extraordinary level of trust between me and my clients. I have access to their bank accounts. I pull lots of money out of their account. I don't tell them I'm doing it, but they just trust that I have their best interests at heart. And I can tell you that early on, if I can sense that we're not going to have this relationship, I'm like, hey, this is not going to work for either one of us. And I think it's critically important to set that tone, set that positioning early on. And here's the thing, Ben, that I believe. I believe that if you, Ben, told me, hey, Toby, I'm going to sell your house and you have access to me 24/7, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to work with you. You know why? Because you need my deal. And when you are needy, like that doesn't project, that's not the kind of guy I want, or not the kind of company I want repping me. I want somebody, I think that's such the wrong messaging or positioning in so many ways. It's, I don't know. What's your take on that? And the notion of specifically projecting neediness by saying you have me 24/7.
Oh, I completely agree. And, you as a businessman, you're wearing a lot more hats than I do. So you have to be very purposeful in what you do. And, if you get too sideways on different people and being too available, you're going to crash and burn. And that, there goes the family, there goes, starts with that, and everything else spirals after that.
Yep, I agree. Well, look, so we've got to start wrapping up. For you, I normally don't ask this question, but I will. So what's next for you, man? What 3 years from now, what's Ben's life going to look like?
I'm still hustling real estate. My son will be 5. My wife, I won't tell her age, but she'll still be beautiful, and I'll still be loving on them. I get to work with my family every day, so I'm living the dream. I'm working on a book that's going to put all these stories together. I'd like to do some speaking, and just kind of help people live a more purposeful life.
Yeah, so that's the piece. That's the piece that I see for you, man. Is you have to? It's. I don't know the right word. It's not a shame, right? But it's something along those lines of, bottling up and you with all these fantastic stories of yours, you not sharing them with the world would be selfish, would be, you got to find a platform.
Absolutely. You know, I have a heritage profile through the Fenian Company, and one of the things I struggle with is being a showman, because, you know, my wife will say, oh, you're just doing that because you're a showman. And sure, some of these things are ego projects, but through my heritage profile, I realized that, you know, I know there's disc profiles, all of that, but being a showman, there's the other gift alongside of that is being impactful. And so if I can wrestle those two together, then I think I'm doing the right thing on the right path for the right reason.
Good. So you're writing a book, and I don't want to talk about it, but I'd rather talk about what you read. So we always ask for a book recommendation. I'm curious about what a guy like you reads. So here's the setup. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy right now? How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah. Come on, man. Come on,
yeah, that softball. Come on.
Yeah. That should be. I mean, that and Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. Yeah. I mean, that should be in every seventh grader's library should have those two books.
Absolutely, I agree.
And for you guys, if you haven't read either one of those, How to Win Friends and Influence, and I'll tell you, man, I will sometimes, you know, I have 3 kids, 13, 11, and 8, and I will sometimes get my copy of that book and go and read a page of it, and they dig it, they like it,
cool.
And I think they're sucking it up, they're sponging it up. So for you, okay, we got a book thing, you know, let's talk about a personal habit really quickly. Where, you know, do you have a personal habit, maybe even a daily habit you think has contributed to your success so far?
Together, my wife and I tuck my son into bed every night, and we do a Bible story, we pray, and we just talk about the day. And that really, you know, that time of night is when I'm processing what's going to happen tomorrow, and it really just shelves life. It makes me present. So I love that time, and that's one of my most proud habits, I should say.
So when you say a Bible story, I mean you're talking about Jonah and Sodom and Gomorrah, or like what? Give me an example, or Noah and the Ark. I mean, what's an example of a Bible story that you go over?
So he has a children's book, and it just kind of covers all of the stories, of the basic stories.
It's my book of Bible stories book.
Yep, and he devours it. So
good for him.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. All right, man. Well, look, you know, we got to wrap up here. I always encourage my audience, if they've gotten anything out of this, if this has touched anybody, you know, to reach out and to say thank you to you. I mean, there's you know, I've had you on the phone here for 50 minutes, and there's lots of other ways that you could have blown the last 50 minutes, but you chose to show up with me. So where can people find you, Ben?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on email, benandrews.com. Anyway, Bennett Willamette Realty Group, but I'm out there. Feel free to say hello.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, look, I'll be the first guy. I mean, I appreciate you coming on. I thank you very much, and I've enjoyed it. You were everybody loves stories, so even though we didn't get into some nitty gritty, I think something like today was certainly valuable, and it was I liked it, so I enjoyed it. And I don't enjoy. I enjoy seriously like maybe 1 out of. I'm not going to even say because you know I have too many people listening. So
and I'm happy to share any of my systems. If anyone wants to reach out, I'm happy to.
Awesome, buddy. All right, man. Thanks. Let's keep in touch.
Appreciate it. Big fan of the show and you. I appreciate all you do.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15%